All right, let's keep going with conditionals. Now we're starting to kind of get into some more code type stuff. So conditional statements are really used to perform different actions based on different situations, conditions in our code. You know, a lot of the times we want to do different things based on different situations. So this is where conditionals come in. So there's kind of, four main ways we can do that. There's an if block. This is if we want to do something, if a condition is true. There's a else block, which we can do if we want to do something if a condition is false. There's a else if that kind of allows us to check multiple situations. There's also kind of a fourth one in JavaScript and other languages called a switch, which is kind of when we have like a whole bunch of else ifs. We're not going to talk about switch today. I just kind of wanted to throw that in your mind so you knew about it. But let's talk about the if condition. So coming over here to code, our if condition essentially looks like this. Our if statement essentially looks like this. We have an if, and then we have some condition. Now in JavaScript, when I say this word condition, this should evaluate to a truthy or falsy value. Not true or false, definitely could be true or false, but it's going to be truthy or falsy. So, and then if it's true, let me just write this in JavaScript. So if, some condition, we do stuff. So if this condition is truthy, then we do stuff. That's our if block. We can also add a else statement on here. So I'll say this, do stuff if condition is truthy. All right, and here we'll do stuff if condition is falsy. And I know this is maybe a little confusing, but I'm very clearly using these truthy and falsy values because that's how it works in JavaScript. For example, if I put 0 in here, 0 is a falsy value. So this is actually, we can kind of look at this. Let's just do a console.log. In truthy part. And then we can do a console.log party. I'll just call it block, not party. Let's do a block. In truthy block, in falsy block. So let's go ahead and run this. Oh, gotta get out of this node. Okay, so I'm gonna do node demo.js. So I say if 0, notice that is in our falsy block. It's the same thing as saying if false. That's also going to take me into my falsy block. I could say if true, that's going to take me in my truthy block. But notice I could say 345. That puts me in my truthy block. So we do have these falsy values. So remember, let's just review our falsy values. There's 0. That is a falsy value. We have a empty string. That is a falsy value. We have undefined. Undefined, that is a falsy value. We have null. That is also one. We have, and then we have nan. So when we talked about that earlier, these matter because we can use these in our ifs as our conditions. So we can do like an empty object. That's a truthy value. If hello, if there's actually a string in there, that will be considered truthy. All right. So yeah, but at the end of the day, it's really just we throw in some condition here. We have one more block. We have the if else block or the else if. So with this allows us to throw in like another condition. So we can check a couple things. And we can combine this then with the else. So that's our else if block. So this would be, if condition is truthy. And then this one would be if condition 2 is truthy. One thing to note that's important to note with the else if block, this would also imply that condition up here, let's call this condition 1 just to be a little more clear. Condition 1 is falsy. So only one of these blocks is going to run. If this condition 1 is true in an else if statement, this will not run. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's just say, just to be very clear, this will be true. This is also true. And let's just do a console.log first block. And you can actually kind of see in VS Code is graying this out. And it's saying, hey, this is unreachable code. See, VS Code knows, well, this first statement is true. You're never going to hit here. You're never going to hit here. So VS Code already knows that first block. If I set this equal to false, once again, VS Code knows that's unreachable code because that's never going to hit. But now I'll get here into my second block. So just something to know, only with an if, else, if statement and else statement, only one of these blocks is going to run. So if this first thing is true, it just stops there. And that's the if else statement. All right. So let's actually look at some real world examples. This was kind of just looking at the syntax. Now you are really experts with these if else statements. You know them intuitively well, but they can sometimes sometimes be very hard to take how well you know them because you use them every day in your life, kind of unconsciously. It can sometimes be hard to transfer that to code. So let's look at an example where you know how to use these, but it might be hard to code, and you can kind of see why it is going to be hard. Is something like you're approaching an intersection and you want to know whether or not you should stop or go. So let's say we have some variable, light color. And for now, we could set that to green, but that could be yellow or red. But, we could do an if statement. We could say, hey, if light color, equals. So now we're going to start combining some of our operators. So now we're going to do a check. Hey, does this light color, does it equal green? If it does, let's do a console.log. Go. And then I could do an else console.log. Stop. Maybe I could be a little more clear, say like light is green. Go, and then I'll say light is not green. Stop. All right. So now when I run this, light is green, go. If I change this to red, it's going to say light is not green, stop. Now here, it's really, this could be anything other than green. It's going to just tell us to stop. Now, that's the logic's right there, but what happens if the light is yellow? That's another case we might want to check for. So this is where we might use like the else if. So here I could check, well, if it's not green, let's see if the light color equals yellow. And then I could do a console.log, you know, light is yellow. Now, one of the things when light color is yellow, that doesn't necessarily tell us whether we should go or not. So go is kind of like a question mark. So if we run this, you know, the light color is yellow. Do we go or do we not go? So what we can maybe do is let's come up with another variable. Let's declare this variable. Let's just say like can stop in time. And let's say this is going to determine whether or not we should go if the light's yellow. So if we can stop in time, we should stop. If we can't stop in time and the light's yellow, we should go. So what we can do here is actually we can do a nested if statement. So notice in here, I'm going to do an if statement inside of this else if statement. So here's where I'm going to check if we can stop in time. Because, right, I only want to check this if the light color is yellow. Now I could check to see if this equals true, but that would kind of be a little redundant because this is going to be, this can stop in time is just a Boolean. And I'm checking to see if true equals true, or really I can just leave this as is. So if can stop in time, because this is going to be true or false. So if can stop in time is true, I'm going to say console.log. Let's stop, because if that means we can stop in time, and then I can use an else in here, we should do console.log. If we can't stop in time, then we're going to go. So now let's run this. Light is yellow. Should we go? Well, we can stop in time because that is true. So we stop. If I switch this to false, you know, light is yellow. Should we go? Yes, we should go because we cannot stop in time. But notice this if statement here is nested within this if else statement. So yeah, we can see these if else statements. They can be simple, but they can be a little hard to code because we definitely know how to cross an intersection. We're very good at it, but this can be a little tricky. Let's look at maybe, you know, another case where maybe the order of this is important. So what I'm going to do is come up here. Let's just say I want to check. Let's say we have another, like we have, I'll leave these two variables the same, but I'm just going to have one other variable in here that is like safe to cross, or let's call this actually intersection clear. So this is just a Boolean to say, hey, is there anything in the intersection? And let's say this is true, or let's say this is false. Now we're not going to want to go through an intersection that's not clear. So let's check this out. If I say like if light color, you know, equals green, and I say my console.log, you know, color is green, go, and then I have like an else if down here, you know, my intersection clear, console.log, intersection, you know, is clear, go. Now I'm only going to be running one of these at a time. Let's switch this color to green. color is green, go. Well, sometimes, well, what I'm trying to get at is the order of these statements matter, because now my light color is green, but my intersection is not clear, so I probably shouldn't go. So sometimes it can matter which one I check first. So with this one, I probably want to do like some check first. I want to first check like if my intersection is clear. Then I can go check other stuff. If it's not, I'm just going to do a big old like, hey, not clear, do not go. And then inside of here, I could then check like, hey, if my color is green, I can go. If it's yellow, then I can, check that. So if it's yellow, then I can do another check, light is yellow. Maybe I should or shouldn't go. And then inside of here, I need to do this as an else if. Then inside of here, I can do an if statement. Now we're going to see a better way to do this once we get with functions, because if you can't tell, this is getting a little messy. This is getting really nested. This code becomes hard to read. I'm having some syntax errors, but let me just kind of finish this and we'll look at it. So if we can stop in time and the light is yellow, we're going to stop. If we're not, we're going to go. But let's just kind of look at this, because this is really kind of getting messy. So first I have this if intersection clear. So I'm first checking to see, is my intersection clear? If it is, then I can go proceed and look to see if, hey, if the light's green, then I can go. If my light's color is yellow, well, then I need to go check to see if I can stop in time. And then I'll do, stop or go, whether that's true or not. Else, I'm going to say not clear, do not go. But this else statement right here is, checking whether or not the intersection is clear. So this is kind of three nested deep layers of if statements, which I think can be confusing. So we'll talk about functions in the next round and kind of see how we can maybe clean this up. But basically, conditions allow us to, do certain things based on if things are true or false. And we can get a little crazy with how we nest these, but we probably want to avoid that. But as you can see, we can start, coming up with some logic to see whether or not we can do something complicated like cross an intersection. Cool. So we'll stop here for now, and then in the next video, we'll go to functions to maybe see how we can kind of clean this up and make this a little less confusing.